Our guest today is Jim Parkman. This was a huge case. I mean, this was the fourth largest accounting fraud in the history of the United States.
The CEO of HealthSouth, the Fortune 500 healthcare company.
Ferrari Enzo was nearly obliterated in the high-speed crash along the PCH.
Zenvo, ST150S.
He went from being on the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Only going to make 3 for the United States.
I'm Bobby Khan, former exotic car dealer turned #1 FBI's most wanted fugitive.
Generally, when you look at the law, 90% of the time it's against you.
The FBI put a $20,000 reward for information into his arrest.
Bobby Khan scammed super rich customers at a New Jersey car dealership.
Join myself and James Parkman, my attorney and best friend, as we have cars, courts, and conversations.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Parkman Khan Unleashed. That's Jim Parkman, and I'm Bobby Khan, and there's been a lot of stuff in the news lately, Jimmy.
Yeah, I want to start by I'm upset with the government. Okay.
Why?
Well, several years ago, I submitted a thing where they could pay me millions of dollars, and I could figure out how fast a crab could walk on a treadmill. And I got rejected. I had my own crab.
Yep.
Bubba. And Bubba was ready to go, on the treadmill. And Bubba, was fired up about it. And I got a letter of rejection. And now I find out
they gave the money to somebody else.
Yeah. Somebody else did it.
I'm like Bubba.
Yeah. I don't know what's wrong. I mean, Bubba was he was in his prime youth. He would have contributed greatly to the study.
And that's what's the problem with bureaucracy, right? Like, they just don't see the opportunity when it hits them in the face.
No, and they go with somebody. I mean, how do they know the crab they had was as good as Bubba?
Exactly. A southern crab. Yep, crabs down south.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes own people. So, but my point is, here we go again. The same old story. And, somebody asked a good question. How come we don't know as people, as Americans, how come we don't know about all this?
Exactly.
How come all this is going on and we don't know?
Well, here's the question. Like, now that this is coming out,
yes.
I love the outrage on some of the media. Like the liberal media is mad that this is coming out. Why
of course
are
it
upset
is.
about this? Why are the Democrats upset about this? Like, okay, this guy's coming out and he's saying they were spending money on this, they were spending money on this, and this. This is where your taxpayer money's going. And then Democrats are jumping up and down. Elon Musk should be locked up. Elon Musk should not be having access to this. Well, at least he's actually letting the public know that you guys basically stole taxpayer money and squandered it.
Well, I mean, they don't want you to know that. That's why they kept it secret.
Jimmy, you're a criminal defense attorney. If somebody came to you and said, I hired an employee and he squandered my money for my business funds on stupid stuff that did not help my business, would that guy not end up in prison?
Yeah, I think he'd be charged with theft, of course.
Exactly.
But, you see, here's the problem. Congress had to approve this.
Of course they did.
Okay, so that then makes it, in your example, if they came to me and said he took the money and I go, by the way, I approved it.
Well, okay, but here's a kicker. So Congress approves the whole package in a whole, right? And then that money is sent to departments. So now when that money hits the departments, it's the departments that end up siphoning off the money to different things that the Congress now no longer has oversight over. Like, for example, sending George Soros $206 million. Why? Right? Why did we send money here? Why did we send money to Politico? Why are we sending all this money someplace else? There's no reason that anyone can tell me, and tell me if I'm wrong, in 2025, that every dollar spent by the federal government and by every department on their website should be a live rank. Okay, we spent this month on paper clips. on this, and this, and this. And if something stands out, the public can stand up and say, hold on, why did you spend $13 million on researching hookers in Vietnam? Right? Or why did George Soros get $50 million this month? Or why did Politico get $3 million? It should be live. And
it should be.
It should be.
It should be open. I mean, you know, especially if it doesn't involve any secrets of our national security, or doesn't involve anything dealing with national security, or military as far as what we're advancing in far of weapons or
like Department of Education. There's nothing hidden there. Everything should be out there. There's so many offices should be right out there. There should nothing should be hidden.
Well, right. A crab on a treadmill has nothing to do with anything adverse to our country.
Absolutely. And how does it? It doesn't help Americans. We shouldn't be doing it. So my question is why all the anger? Why the hatred?
Because it affects them in the way of how they're going to be perceived.
Yeah, but they're actually out there talking about impeaching Trump. Did you see that congressman yesterday?
Yeah, look.
He's like, we should impeach Trump. I'm like, what are you impeaching him for?
Because he's revealing dirty laundry. He's revealing stuff that probably Americans should already know about.
Of course, but it's been hidden for all these years, and the same conversation we had the other day.
Correct.
We fell into this trap, into belief that the government knows best and does good by us, and that we should trust everything that comes out of their mouths.
Yeah.
Now,
and let me say this too. Let me say this too. I'm sure at some point coming up in the future, I'd be surprised if it didn't, that some Democrat doesn't come up and go back to the terms of Bush or whoever and say, look what they spent on whatever. That's ridiculous. Okay. I don't care.
Yep.
I don't care about who did it. I care about somebody getting in there and fixing it.
Exactly. Because we know Republicans are guilty of spending this money too. Except now the problem is we have a Republican that's a businessman in office, and he's had enough of this. And he's like, hold on, enough of this shit. I don't care if it was Bush, it was Cheney, it was Obama. We've been screwing the public. Now it's time to fix it.
And if we owe any of these ridiculous things any more money, then don't pay it.
Exactly. Let's end it. And basically, it's like streamlining. It's no different than when a company buys another company, and then they start going through their books, and they're like, hold on, you guys were wasting money on a private jet. You guys are losing money. You got a private jet. Let's get rid of this. It's like one line by line. It's what any businessman would do.
Sure.
At the end of the day, our country is a big business.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it needs to be looked at, and I think that's what's making everybody mad.
Yeah.
That we're now looking at it like, okay, we don't care about, you giving this up to get this for your state, or you doing this and giving that. We care about what is the regular course of business for this country, what is really needed and what isn't needed, and what isn't needed goes by the wayside.
Exactly. So basically, this is shedding light on all that pork that was stuffed in all those bills.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it in a nutshell.
I hope, and I've said this during every administration, going back to the Clinton administration, that maybe this Congress passes a line item veto for our president. We need it. At this point, it needs to happen.
I totally agree with that.
But for those that don't know what a line item veto is, a line item veto is where basically when the president gets a bill on his desk, right now he either has to sign and approve the entire bill or he can veto it. But if he has a line item veto right where he can go through the bill and says, well, I'm not paying $15 million for this. Yep, that's out. And he can still sign the bill into law and cut out what he wants. And up until now, Congress won't give him that right.
No, because that affects what they want to accomplish.
Because then those backroom deals don't work out. Because they can make the deal, the bill gets to the president's desk, and guess what? Everything that they agreed to for their vote is gone.
Yeah. I'll tell you something that's interesting, too, that people need to realize. for once and for all, we haven't had a real businessman come in and take a look at the books.
Exactly.
Now, Mr. Musk decides, hey, I'm a businessman. I look at it from what, we can do, what we can't do, what we should spend, what we shouldn't spend, what we should appropriate, what we shouldn't. And he goes in and goes, holy smoke.
Yeah, because he's looking at it like this is the world's worst run business.
Yeah.
And because everything about Musk is about streamlining, right? Like when he does his business, he's like, if I don't have to spend $10 on this, I'm not going to spend the $10. He's not about excess. And that's how he's managed to stay profitable with his companies and be able to produce the stuff he does for such a smaller cost, is because he's like, if it doesn't make sense, let's not do it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so now they're mad that now, oh, well, he's had access. Well, how else are you going to know what's going on if you don't have access?
Absolutely.
And they don't want him to have access because they know, here's what's interesting. I'll say this. They know what he's going to find.
Exactly. And that's
bingo.
Like, who screams, the loudest when they said, we're looking for fraud? The guy that is guilty.
That's right.
Right now is guilty, and they're like screaming, and they're doing everything they can to make sure they divert the attention away from what Musk is finding and towards, well, he needs to go and get the people riled up again.
Well, unfortunately, my opinion, and I hope this stands for America, okay? I hope that the majority of people out there are going, quote, unquote, it's about time.
It's about time. It is about time.
About time.
And I'm going to say this, and this is, you're an attorney and you practice in courtrooms and stuff. I am all for, when it comes to government things, there's no need for excess, okay? So like when I walk into a federal courthouse, I look at these courthouses and I see the wood veneers and I see these giant expensive desks, and then you walk into a prosecutor's office and you walk in these judges' chambers and you're like, how much money was spent on this, right? Like, do we really need to go that crazy spending money? I mean, millions upon millions of dollars are spent on government offices. It doesn't matter if it's a Department of Education or if it's the courthouse or it's this. It's time to say, this is a government thing. Every last dollar we spend is taxpayer money. How can we build something that we need for government officials, but without spending all the money? What's the least way we could do it where it's not ugly, still presentable, but without spending excess?
Well, years ago, Bobby, this was years ago, I had a case in Baltimore and went to the federal courthouse and went in the courtroom, and it was like small.
Yeah.
The ceilings weren't tall.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of benches, room. I mean, pews for people. No, it was small. Yeah. And I was asking somebody there, I went, good gracious alive. This isn't like, who did y'all make mad? This
exactly,
like, yeah. And they went, no, Jim, we're now going down, they're cutting down on, these huge
excess,
And now, as far as I'm concerned, I love the old courtrooms. Okay?
Of course you do. I mean, because that's what you grew up in.
Yeah, that's right. But, they were cutting down on them then, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if they continued that. Most of the courthouses I go into are
great.
Fairly old. Some of them newer than others. Yeah. But, they're, I was shocked when I went in that one. I was like, good gracious alive, this thing is small. I mean, compared to what we normally see for a federal judge.
Of course. But it's like, at the end of the day, this is taxpayer money. So you can do your job in a nice, normal building without furnishings and stuff like that. This isn't a private company. This isn't something. Every dollar, you have to look at it as, this is not my money. This is the taxpayer money. And it has to go for the future of this nation.
Yeah.
That's where it is. So.
Well, I understand. I mean, look, we've got federal courthouses here in Alabama that have beautiful fountains out in front, and
Yep. No, of course, but it's time to rethink how we spend our money, because money doesn't grow on trees, and when you're $36 trillion in debt, at that point you got to say, hey, time to look in how am I going to save money.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it looks like, I will say this, it looks like they're on the right path. I hate to say that.
Yeah.
And look, I read an article this morning that said they've only just started.
Oh, of course. I mean, but, the funny thing is how hypocrites politicians are. If you remember in 2008 when the whole recession was happening and General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler went to D.C. As a pack, they were unified, and they went looking for money. Ford didn't take any money, but the others did. And the politicians were grilling them and saying, how'd you guys get here today? Did you guys fly here on your private jets? Yes, we did. And what are you guys spending money on? And they're beating them for their excess spending. Meanwhile, we're $36 trillion in debt. So, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But,
business, unfortunately, let me say this. I had a case in Detroit, and business, is rough sometimes.
Yeah.
When I was up there, there were a lot of huge empty Ford, GM car plants.
Absolutely.
Going to what?
Renaissance Plaza now.
That's right. But, it was a business decision.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't based on, well, we got plenty of money, we can print. It was based on, we can't keep losing money on this, and we've got to shut down. And that's just the way the economy is. That's the way the car business is. And,
listen, but it's like anything. When things get tight, you got to tighten your belt. You got to do what you have to do. So
and it's sad. Don't get me wrong. It's sad.
It's sad, but we have to do that now with our country.
Yeah, it's business. And by the way, that goes into professional athletes too. It's a business.
Well, it's a business. Exactly. You got to sit there and you say, hey, I can't afford $300 million payroll. Time to cut.
And we look at it as a sport. They look at it. The owner looks at it as a business. Am I making money? And are we doing the right thing? Or we've got problems that we need to resolve and business problems.
That's it. I mean, we do. Everybody has to do that. And that's what it comes down to. America is now going through that. It's the belt tightening, and we're going to realize, hey, you know what? We're going to walk away from this trimmer and leaner and hopefully more powerful.
Yeah. Well, looking on this side, it looks like some people better buckle down because it looks like there's a lot more coming.
Oh my God! He's only been there 2 weeks. Wait till he's there for like 6 months, and he's like. Basically, here's the best image I've got in my hand. They're going in and just like taking shit, breaking stuff. We don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like when you walk into a garage and you're like, this garage has been stuffed, and you're like, do I need that? Nope. We haven't used it in so long. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it. Next thing you know, 2 days later, the garage is spotless, and you're like, I can park my car in here now.
Don't you wish you could be in a particular building where a department is, okay? Mm-hmm. Make up a department. I don't care. Department of whatever.
Yeah,
but don't you wish you could be there when all of a sudden it's announced in there by memo, Elon Musk is coming in on Monday. Don't you wish you could be there for that?
No. Let me tell you how crooked this stuff is, okay? So I can tell you from experience of being in federal prison, you see a lot of things firsthand, right?
Yeah.
So when we go to federal prison, I was in a camp. So when a camp is, there's no fence. So you're allowed to walk all over, you're allowed to drive, you're allowed to do all kinds of stuff so that you can go to the facilities building. You can go to the area where they have the food, like the food warehouse and stuff. I kid you not. We walk into this one warehouse and there must have been 100 barbecue grills. Brand new, top notch, grills that were cheapest one, $400, right? Why do you guys need 150 barbecue grills? Then all of a sudden, snow blowers, right? Like brand new snow blowers. It never snows. Like might get snow once in that, and you have snow plows. Why do you have all these snow blowers, right? This is what happens. So those barbecue grills, on Friday, they get the inmates and they say, hey, do me a favor, start loading them onto these trucks. And they're loading the barbecue grills on the back of pickup trucks for the guards. The feds give money to the prisons, the BOP. The BOP designates it for each prison. And then they order stuff. The grills are leaving. And you know what they do? So now all of a sudden, to shut the inmates up, they're like, hey, look, you can go into the freezer and get anything you want. Now, when you walk into the freezer, which is, when I say freezer, it's an entire building with freezers in it. Or you walk in there, lobster tails, caviar, all kinds of stuff, Sara Lee cheesecakes and this and that, like any kind of food that's in excess. This food is not for the prisoners. It's there. They order it because they have the money, so they order it for the guards. So now what the guards do is they bribe the inmates with it and say, hey, just nothing, you didn't see anything, take it, right? So then next week, those 150 snowblowers that are out there, you know what they do with that? They bring old snowblowers in, they take the serial numbers off of them, and they put them on the new ones and swap them and put the new ones on their trucks and take them home. The feds just paid for snowblowers for all the prison guards. And you know what they say? The difference between you and I is you got caught, we don't. And that has to end with our federal government.
Well, like I said, you know, don't you wish you could be in a particular department?
Absolutely. Yep. Because all these government employees, and it happened in everything from Department of Education to Department of this and Department of that, where they just wasted money. And they left the taxpayers holding the bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, I hope that whatever's they're doing, I hope it continues. And like I do.
I hope Musk has the best security team around him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also hope that, you know, every Monday he visits a new department with his staff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And have them go through and let's take a look at everything.
Listen,
let's get it in the open.
This guy's walking around and he's got the best technology in the world. And he's basically yep, no, I don't need your antiquated systems. I got my own. I'll figure this out.
We'll handle it. I got 4 guys here. They'll knock it out.
That are geniuses. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, listen, I want to talk, if you got a few minutes, I want to talk about something that just happened in the news with Kanye.
Okay, let's do that next. But I'm glad we talked about this, and I think more's to come. More's to come.
Yep, absolutely.